我们已经直播了。大家好，今天是4月22日星期五啊，美东时间的13点29分，我们现在是在20小学啊，在 Barclay 这个20小学，在这个迎接这个孟昭文啊议员，国会众议员孟昭文，还有纽约州的霍楚啊这个女州长这进行一个新闻发布会啊，这是现场，马上即将霍楚就到现场了啊，等一下。现在现场聚集了很多人啊，瞧各种社区的各位领袖和这个知名人士都来到现场啊。有一些主流的媒体都来了现场啊，纽约的主流媒体。现在霍楚州长现在还没有到啊，霍楚是竞选连任州长是吧？今天纽约的温度已经回升到比较热的这个温度了，来看一下啊。今天纽约的温度是摄氏19度啊，19度，这个晴间多云的天气，然后这个亚楠，你辛苦了啊！现在是风速是10英里每小时，10英里的风速啊，谢谢。我们现在是在纽约的20小学啊，20小学 Barclay 这里啊，是在迎接这个州长霍楚啊，还有我们国会众议员孟昭文啊，先到来宣布重大的事情啊，应该是我猜想是应该是霍楚连任的重大的这个参选的消息啊。现场来了很多人啊，来了很多这个咱们纽约社区的各位领袖啊，各位知名人士啊，社会名流都来到了现场啊。中央会的主席陈昭莹、陈建荣等等主席都来到了现场看这个我们北京会的会长啊，咱们徐家鹏啊先生就来到现场。我现在提前了一点直播，但是霍楚现在还没有来到现场啊，我们稍微等一下啊。
这谁的？我的。你不要放在这边，人家怕的。你就放到该放的地方，人家是摄影机，人家中场那必来的。
不是什么，是照相的，摄影的，晚上用的。室内就可以的。给它补光的。那当然了。我有一次这个地方拍的这个中央电视台的用，拍的全是黑的，尤其是在晚上。调好一点，特别好。你爱看谁调？你看我这调好了。不是，好多地方。
今天得罪你们，等过几天请大家喝酒啊。我们记住这句话，成为了大家应该怎么？ 我说大家为什么一起啊？谁不听话了？
他是指挥人家打架的。
在旁边呢，在旁边。
我也是老头啊。我们两个可以打死。
啊。彼得顾，明白？哎，彼得顾是吧？
丢下一个就会
彼得顾搞那个台湾的上次在弗拉辛游行也是。对的。哇，我已经直播了5分钟了，州长还没有到啊，大家翘首以待州长的到来。其他老外也会
黄色的，
党派还是有点多的啊。哎，你帮他找连江中学的，好，谢谢。等一下我给你拍一张。来了是吧？好，来了。现在霍楚州长已经来了是吧？已经来了是吧？
我家养个猫，我衣服上是猫毛。Lucy， 人来了啊 ！Lucy， 把人拦着。对啊，他们要讲话嘛，郑重一场。咱们就在旁边当时可以站，我们侧到旁边，真的是不好意思，我不是。没关系，
我们过去拍。
我今天挺高。对，看着，拦着。
你对我站高一点。人就叫你站高。没有人就站。我们不要。
哎，让他走。
哎，你在那边，我来拍这个。对，你在那边拍，你就直接拍州长，我拍这边。要不然挡着你了，帮你拍进去。
我一会儿走开的，我站这儿的。
哎，你这人拍，要不然帮你拍进去。
我一会儿会走到那里。
看我们美女这个大记者天怡，哈哈哈，今天打扮的非常的这个小巧啊 ，cute， 只有19岁。
在前面。
这个真的往后退一下，往后退一下，收来一点位置。
我们要体现我们华人社区的素质哈。请大家往后退哈，谢谢哈。我们要给州长一个展示，我们华人的那种很有素质哈。说得好。这个白衣大爷跟他迎接洪老师。
现在展示我们华人的热情哈。
没错，迎接毛选第5届。
现在大家翘首以待，等待。
请大家把通道让开，请大家把通道让开，所有的居民们。The Honorable Governor Casey Hogan，57th Governor Casey Hogan，Governor Casey Hogan。
现在国会众议员孟昭文陪着这个州长霍楚也来到了这个现场，还有我们还有我们的这个我们的市议员黄明义来到现场啊，国会众议员这个孟昭文州长霍楚。
Good afternoon, Flushing. Governor Casey Hogan, Congressman Grace, Senator Toby, Assemblywoman Sandra Ong, and all the community leaders and the friends. Welcome to today's gathering. Governor Hogan has been attending our event, visiting us, supporting us since she was Lieutenant Governor. And she's a familiar face to all of us. First, I would like to introduce someone who is a friend to all of us. for the first time in history, we have elected a female councilwoman right here in Flushing, Council District 20. Since taking office, she worked hard to tackle the issues that are pivotal to every one of us, from securing the test site to supporting small business. She's here to assist. Let's welcome Councilwoman Sarah Ang. Good afternoon, Flushing. Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm City Councilwoman Sandra Ong, representing District 20. I was honored to nominate Governor Hochul at the Democratic Convention. I'm happy here today to join two amazing female leaders, Congresswoman Grace Mank and Senator Stavisky, to support Governor Hochul for re-election. New York needs a strong, capable leader who will build bridges. We need someone who will prioritize opening the doors of opportunity for New Yorkers from all walks of life, who embraces our diversity and whose mission it is to continue to bring New Yorkers together and move forward. Kathy Hochul took office at a time when our state was suffering. The pandemic was hitting us hard, and just days after the governor took office, Hurricane Ida hit New York and devastated part of our district, tragically cutting short the lives of 3 of our neighbors, leaving families to rebuild from the rubble. And she was here immediately. She was on the ground, speaking with our neighbors, literally offering a shoulder to cry on and making sure resources are getting to where it was needed. We need a governor who will put families above politics. We need someone who will put in the work to fight for us. We need Kathy Hochul's leadership in Albany, and Flushing stands with Kathy Hochul in her re-election. Thank you, Councilwoman Long. Next, I would like to welcome someone very special. She has fought fearlessly for our community, residents, and business in Albany. And she has been one of the first to stand up with us against anti-Asian hate and violence. And she is the first woman to elect her from Queens to Senator. Now let's welcome Senator Stavisky.
Thank you, Michelle. Welcome home. It's interesting that Council Member Ung said good hello, Flushing, and I'm saying Dajia Hao.
Thank you.
I am honored today to support and endorse Kathy Hochul for election as governor. Her experience at the local and county levels of government, her service in Congress and as lieutenant governor for 5 years, and for the last 8 months as governor, all demonstrate that Kathy Hochul has the experience and the depth of understanding to serve for the next 4 years. Governor Hochul, together with the legislature, has delivered on criminal justice reform, tax cuts for the middle class, and providing educational opportunity for all, from pre-K to postgraduate college. And it's interesting that Council Member Ong mentioned Hurricane Ida, because when you came to Flushing, to Rose Avenue and Casino Boulevard, that memory really, it made an indelible mark on our memories, and I will never forget the experience, because to see the governor of New York come and kneel down talk to a little child, probably 4 years old or so. She was sitting at a table on a tiny little stool with her mother and a bucket of water, scrubbing her little shoes. and her mother was doing the same thing. And to see the governor show the care and the compassion, that to me is the mark of a public servant, somebody who cares deeply about the lives of the people who live in the community. And to me, this demonstrates the kind of leader we have in Governor Hochul, as she shows the concern and the desire to make people's lives better. And that to me is the mission of government. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Toby-Stavisky. Our first Asian American to Congress from Queens. We are proud to have her presenting us in Congress. She leads the fight against Asian hate and violence and get COVID relief funds to the community. The COVID-19 Hate Crime Act introduced by her was signed into law by President Biden. I'm proud to stand with her, and we are proud to stand with her. Our Congresswoman Grace Mann.
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon to Flushing and to our Queens community. Thank you to each and every one of you who have come out here today in the heart of Flushing, in the heart of my congressional district, to show support for our Governor Kathy Hochul's re-election. Thank you so much for all that you do for our community, and especially to all the women and the young girls who are here today. You know that the sky is the limit, and Governor Hochul is someone who has broken the glass ceiling here in New York. Let's give her a round of applause. I'm really excited to be here today, and Senator Stavisky said it well when she said, "Welcome home." This is a place that Governor Hochul knows well. From the days when she started as a lieutenant governor, Flushing was one of her earliest stops, meeting with our small businesses, meeting with our senior citizens, marching in our parades. Here in Queens, sometimes we are forgotten by city and statewide elected officials. But Kathy Hochul is someone who has not only never forgotten us, she regularly reaches out to us. She is very proactive behind the scenes, not just on camera, but when no one else is watching. She reaches out to check in on what we need. This is a governor who has stood up with us time again. Every time there is an incident of hate, bias, or violence in this state, Governor Hochul and her team are amongst the first to reach out to our community, asking what more she can do. Senator Stavisky mentioned the tour that we took post-Hurricane Ida, right a few blocks away here in Flushing, Queens. Many of our community leaders have been there. They saw the devastation. My congressional district lost more New Yorkers during that flooding and hurricane than any other congressional district. And one of the first ones on scene was Governor Hochul and her team. She paid respect to the family that we lost from the hurricane and the flooding. She, like Toby said, visited with families and walked up and down the street and literally knelt on the ground, helping this girl, this young girl, and this family who pretty much lost all their belongings. And Governor Hochul literally helped her clean off her shoes and washed her belongings so that she could hope soon come back into her home and help recover from all that they lost. This is a governor that constantly asks what more can she do for our AAPI communities here in Queens and across the country. It is under this governor's leadership that Asian American community grassroots organizations have received an unprecedented level of funding, because we were invisible in previous administrations. We did not get funding to help our most vulnerable people in our community and our organizations. So it should be no surprise that the people of Flushing and the people here in Queens strongly support Governor Hochul for re-election, because we already know her. We stand by Kathy because she has always stood by us. She has always fought with us, right alongside us, and has always had our backs. So I'm incredibly grateful, not just for her partnership as a government colleague, but for her compassionate leadership, because she reaches out and knows our concerns and tries to address them even when the cameras are off. And that's what it takes to be a real leader in this state. So I'm so grateful for Governor Hochul. Thank you for coming back to Flushing and back to Queens again. And we have to make sure that standing here in public on camera is not the last part of what we're going to do to help Governor Hochul get elected. It's what we do behind the scenes, knocking on doors, making phone calls, sending emails and texts. Make sure that we all do our part so we can help re-elect a leader who has always been there for us and will continue to be there for us. I'm proud to stand by and to endorse my friend, Governor Kathy Hochul, for re-election. There is a saying, as goes New York, so goes the nation and the world. Since taking the office, the governor has led New York State forward. She brings endless possibility and hope to us all. She has stood with our community. She has met with flood victim of anti-aging violence. She talks to our small business owner, and she is steadfast in her commitment to our community. She will build a New York that leads the nation. Please welcome the champion of the AAPI community, our community, the first female, the 57th, the governor of the great New York State, Kathy Hochul.
I do feel at home once again because of the warmth, the kindness, and the love that all of you have shown me from the very beginning. Back when I was just running for lieutenant governor, 2014, I was embraced wholeheartedly by people like Grace, who we went to the library. We had a chance to meet leaders like Peter and so many others who are gathered here today, George. And I got a chance to know the elected officials. We marched and prayed, whether they are warm days or those blizzardy days, the lunar days, and even in some of the darkest times. Right before the pandemic in February of 2020, when people were afraid to go into Asian businesses because of what had happened across the world before it even hit the communities of New York, we went to the New World Mall and we sat with it, and it was tragic to see how empty it was even at that time. So I wanted to make sure that we showed people we had support for these local businesses. And then, as you mentioned, the rise in anti-hate crime, particularly against the AAPI community. That is so heartbreaking to me on so many levels. And that is why we're going to continue to stand together, as we just did a couple days ago with Grace Meng and others, to call out the crimes, but not just to call them out, but to put money behind resources to communities to protect themselves, and to make sure that our laws were changed with the help of Senator Toby Stavisky in Albany, to make sure that hate crime is actually covered under our laws in a way it had not been since the reforms of a couple years ago. So we can talk about protecting communities, but it's all about what you do, how you put action behind the words. And I've come to rely on this community. Michelle, thank you for being an ambassador for me for many, many years, to make sure we are where we need to be, meeting people, letting them know that we do care at the deepest level. So thank you, Michelle, for your extraordinary leadership. I also want to thank our council member, Sandra Ung, for standing up at our convention, showing your support for me. It meant the world to me. And I love the fact that Queens and Flushing, you have so many great firsts, and a lot of them have to do with the women you elect. You seem to like electing women here in Flushing and in Queens, so I commend you for electing all these incredible women leaders, and I hope to continue not just opening doors for other women, but opening doors for all women, and making sure that they know that there are no barriers. You look at young women, girls, and I want them to look at the faces here and say, this is the face of leadership. This is what compassionate leadership looks like. We're as tough as we need to be. don't get in our way, right? We will win every battle because we're hardwired to do that. We fight. But at the end of the day, it's about reaching out hands in friendship and building bridges to other people in local government and community leaders and the activists and all of you who are here today. So we're going to continue fighting for you, fighting against Asian hate crime, fighting against crime in our subways, making sure that our small businesses recover. I was just at a restaurant on Roosevelt Avenue. It was packed. I love to see it. I think I had a picture taken with 400 people. That's okay. I wanted to let them know that we're back. And we went through so much together, but now we have money from our budget for education and healthcare and childcare and rebuilding our roads and making them more resilient. If there ever is a hurricane that dare come to the shores of New York, we're ready this time. And we will fight back and stand up for our communities because that's what we do best. So your support here today, it lifts my spirit. I thank you for this, and I will not let you down. I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to fight and fight and fight every single day, not against people, but with people, to make sure that all New Yorkers, but starting right here in Flushing, in Queens, know that we were out there for them. We'll never turn our backs on them, and you'll never, ever be forgotten by my administration. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for your support here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. What do we say? Queens for Cassie! Queens for Cassie! Queens for Cassie! Queens for Cassie! 4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years! Thank you, Governor. Welcome home. Queens loves you. You have our support, our vote. Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
I called for 8 years last time.
That's the starter point.
Yes.
拍完了，我们来拍啊。等一下，来你过来，来你过来。啊，我让他过来，世界日报的让他拍。再拍，你拍完了是吧？
人民手機出嚟啊，後一點。你喺邊？佢要企後邊。我要改位啊！你企好埋企埋啲，又唔一定換位俾你。做得邊係
All right, don't close. 来，我们队员过来，来，这是你。那我也看到了第一点。要怎么拍照是吧？就走了是吧？来，让一条路给他。不要过来。Give her. I'm gonna be security.
Vice President, sorry, I didn't have a picture. Angela,
oh, come on.
You gotta get through here, guys. Sorry. Never booked this
It's gonna be You watch out.
we're gonna get in.
Yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Can you just move away? Can you, please? Yeah, you're gonna follow the rules. Governor.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much.
All right. Yeah. 57. Yes. Thank you, Governor. Nice to meet you. 给他帮我陪他上来。这 over here. Thank you. Thank you. 好 ，everybody, right? 张总。来，你们。天，让他走一下。
等一下哈，我现在马上结束了。
Love the boys, see you again. Okay, I'll be with you. Oh,
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do this. 哎，我们的队员把这里拦住，让他要讲话，在这里拦住，不能让人进来。过来，队员赶快进来，在这里赶快。
喂！哎，居民们不要往前啊，往后，我们要有素质啊！
我来进来，让我进来。
往后！
那我
你让他进来，让他进来，让他进来，让他进来啊！
进来。
我觉得被觉得太不是，不可以，他不是那个。
为什么不可以啊？
你要有 license，
我有 license。第一直播的。
Did you respond to the channel 4 one?
It'll all come down to one time on your side.
Okay, 我知道，你放心，你放心。我是社区委员，我只知道他们叫我，你放心。
We're going to be looking at the whole issue of affordable housing, making sure that we have opportunities for us to continue to expand. I have $25 billion on the table to expand affordable housing, but there's more to be done on that front. I want to get my own control on it. I have put that in my budget initially just as a placeholder, a marker of my priorities. It doesn't usually happen in the budget, but I thought I would just let people know that I want to make sure this happens. And it's not just for the mayor, it's for the city of New York and its children. So there's other issues to work on. I got a lot more done in the budget than people had anticipated, and that was deal with public safety in a very thoughtful, balanced way, which I'm proud of. We've talked about hate crimes that have been excluded from bail-eligible offenses. That's important in communities like this. And people are proud of what we've done, and they're starting to understand that was a major challenge, but we got it done. So yes, budget's one vehicle, but then we also have the intersection.
When you say housing, do you mean 421A? Because I know there's a number of lawmakers who just like to see the whole thing go away. We don't need favors, developers. There's too much luxury housing.
We have to be smart about this because right now that does create in new buildings going up 25% is dedicated for housing, affordable housing. My bills are going up to 30, so I think that's the right place to find a way to not disincentivize the building by private developers of much needed affordable housing, and also our publicly supported. Again, $25 billion is a lot of money to deal with the real crisis that people are facing all the way from Long Island to the 5 boroughs and upstate as well.
Any update with the LGA? Have you spoken to the legislature? They seemed a little reluctant to go forward with a bill. Any thoughts on that? Any progress, I guess?
I don't have any reports on that right now.
So 2 more?
Still working on that. We're going to go through a very thoughtful process, and we have other options to explore on how it's going to unfold. And I know people are talking about it, but mostly when I talk to New Yorkers, they don't bring it up. They're asking what we're going to do about crime, public safety. I just went to a restaurant a couple blocks away. They're asking about security on our subways. So I know that there's an interest to it to certain individuals, perhaps the media more, political people, but the people out in New York that I talk to all the time, they know we'll get the job done. We'll find the right person at the right time.
One more. Governor, your thoughts on Earth Day?
This is spectacular. It is a gorgeous day, and I had a chance this morning to launch 60 electric buses for the city of New York to show our commitment to the green energy economy, as well as doing everything we can with all modes of transportation. And yesterday I was with President Clinton, Eric Adams, to talk about how our buildings, especially in a densely populated area, tall buildings like New York City, is a major driver of pollution right now. We can do things about it. I talked about my $4.2 billion, that's extraordinary, $4.2 billion bond act that's going to help fund major initiatives supporting resiliency, places like Queens that were hit so hard by the pandemic. We need to have the money from that bond act. So I have a lot of thoughts on Earth Day. I've been participating in Earth Day probably since the first one when I was back as a kid involved in my environmental studies class. So this is important to New Yorkers to show we're going to lead the nation when it comes to clean energy initiatives.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry. Joe, do you need a ride?
yeah.
Claudia?
Yeah.
Claudia?
Yeah, get in. Get in. So,
Governor 的保镖。
let me know who missed it. 莫除啦，仔啊！佢手在佢嘅供我啦，唔係。
好了，现在Governor已经走了啊。州长想为这个再次竞选。
没事了，下一次。
刚才州长说的什么？解释一下。大意就是。
刚才州长就说他会为我们法拉盛的民众 然后呢，一直会为我们争取权益，还会一直努力。就是之前是这样做的，之后也会这么做。大第一次就这样。
好，你自我介绍一下自己。
对，大家好，我是美国上海同乡会的会长沈俊。今天非常高兴能来支持霍楚要在连任这个州长，因为她也是非常优秀的一位女性。像我们的孟昭文议员也是我们第一位的亚裔的这个国会议员，对，然后还有我们的三周啊，也是我们20选区法拉盛20选区的这个市议员，然后非常的多的女性来参政，然后呢，希望她们都能够连任，然后为我们亚裔、为我们华裔、为我们法拉盛社区的民众争取更多的权益，保护我们的这个安全。谢谢。
好，谢谢沈会长，谢谢啊，谢谢沈会长。好，上海同乡会。然后我们看一看，然后这个是
今天晚上
这个田地刚才投过。对。
田地那是保卫飞机动啊。应该来讲币啊。王会长，你好，我们荷兰同乡会的王会长也来到现场来给大家讲一下，今天是这个霍楚啊，对霍楚的支持还是怎么样？
大力支持，绝对支持，坚决支持，谢谢。
好，谢谢我们荷兰同乡会的王怎么自我介绍一下？
王继成
会长，好，谢谢。荷兰同乡会的副会长。
阶级卡，让阶级卡说。
我们的常会长，我不是。
啊，来，这个是。来讲一下自我介绍，他刚讲过了。
我讲过了。
来，看吧，我们讲。来。
哎呀，
我们的荷兰同乡会理事长。没有，没关系，我们站在一起，来。
我们照
一起照个相，来，看吧，来，我们照个相，来。过来，
来，请。
我们赵先生讲两句，你代表他们讲两句还是怎么样？今天主要
怎么可能代表他们？
我你发表一下你的想法。
你们让苏会长讲。
啊，好。好嘞，通透，太通透了。好，再等一下啊。好嘞 ，OK， 谢谢。哪个先讲？来讲一下。
苏会长讲。苏会长。王会长已经讲过了。
你拍一张，好。来，苏会长。
好。
苏会长讲两句来。
好，讲两句。
好，来。
今天非常高兴。
先自我介绍一下自己，让大家知道一下。
我是苏建奎，是美东荷兰同乡会理事长。
OK。
今天我们荷兰同乡会，你看啊，
人
都在今天都过来。OK。
好，先照一张照片，好。哎，周国峰进去啊！
过来吧。
你进去，赶快进去。
赶快放。
这样全了呀才。好嘞，是今天荷兰同乡会就派代表派了强大的阵容支持我们支持我们州长霍楚的啊。好，还是继续采访我们苏电回董事长是吧？好，谢谢。
对，今天非常高兴啊！今天可以这么说啊，这个天公作美啊，天公作美，几乎所有的咱们大纽约地区的华侨领袖啊，
对，知名
都到场了，
社区知名人士
都到场了，
都来到现场。
而且呢，所有的民选官员也几乎都到场。我们大家都很高兴。今天说呢，这个 Governor Hochul，他来到这个咱们法拉盛，也等于说就回到家了，就这个 Welcome Home，因为这个州长对我们这个法拉盛、对我们皇后区、对我们纽约市非常熟悉。我们纽约市唯一的一个以纽约市以城市的名字命名的州。
好
今天我们支持这个Hochul，因为它代表了我们这个华人华侨的利益。我举一个很简单的例子，就是这个 Bill Reform，我们叫做保释金改革，这一次州长做了非常大的努力，来使这个通过这个州预算来通过这个法案，要改革，要去掉这个要减，虽然不能说完全去掉，因为这个是州议会通过的法律，但是州长运用他的影响力对这个做了很多的限制做了很多对我们华人有利的限制 所以这个非常好啊。今天呢，我再次代表我们河南的乡亲们啊，我们大家到这里来就是为了支持他。另外还有今天这个咱们国会议员孟昭文，还有市议员黄敏仪啊，也都出席了。这都是我们选出的这个代表啊，为了我们华人的利益啊，他们都做了很多的努力，我在此一并表示感谢。
好，
谢谢大家，
谢谢市委会主席，谢谢，说得很好，谢谢，好，
谢谢。好，
你讲。
不是，我不讲，我说那个谁那个。
哎，陈昭英主席，来，会所来讲两句。今天为什么现场来稍微讲？
谢谢啊，第一直播啊，我们就今天来参加那个，这次霍楚的竞选连任，希望他能顺利连任，为我们华人就多争取一下华裔，多照顾我们华人社区。
好嘞，谢谢我们陈昭英主席，谢谢。好了，那我们就现在走了啊，已经快全部下。哎，你最后讲两句，最后来，最后我们中国风讲两句啊，有没有荷兰同乡会的副？
其实就是支持州长，上任嘛，就是我只要是对我们华人有利的，我们坚决支持。
OK，
预祝他竞选成功。
好嘞，好，谢谢，好，谢谢，那我们就结束现在直播。等一下啊。